Let's go ahead and get into the exercise. To aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. In this video, I'm going to break down a Neville Goddard exercise that I used myself and started seeing results like the following day. This is probably one of the most powerful exercises that you can ever use to transform your life from the inside out and start manifesting and creating an entire new world for yourself. If you start practicing this, I saw results starting the very next day, and during that night, actually in my dreams, I started doing some really amazing things like within my dream, like taking control of my mind, and the faculty and the muscle of my mind completely started transitioning. And ever since then, I've gone from 10x, 20x, 30x my life, and it's continued to grow ever since I started this exercise right here, guys. I'm going to share that with you. This is out of Neville Goddard's Power of Awareness, Chapter 6, Attention. All right, guys, so we're going to start with James chapter 1:8. This is a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And what this means is double-minded is your attention. Like if you don't have a developed attention where you can focus on one thing and concentrate on one thing, that means that you are a double-minded man or woman, and you are unstable in all of your ways. Unstable in all your ways means you're not going to be successful. You have to have a developed attention of the muscle of your mind to be able to be successful. That way you're not unstable. You're a stable person able to create whatever you want into your life. So this is what James was saying here. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So gather your attention. All right, so attention is forceful in the proportion of the narrowness of its focus. That is, when it is obsessed with a single idea or sensation, and that's key right there, okay? It is steadied and powerfully focused only by such an adjustment of the mind as permits you to see one thing only. Kind of like a magnifying glass, guys. I'll give you this example. Okay, so you have a magnifying glass. The sun is blaring above you. You have your magnifying glass. You're trying to light a piece of paper on fire with the magnifying glass, okay? A double-minded person, it can be equated to that magnifying glass always moving. So it's never getting enough strength from the sun to be able to start that fire. But when you can have your attention focused on one thing, the magnifying glass stops, and the energy from the sun is able to come through and start that fire in no time. Okay, so that can be equated to your developed concentration. If you're able to focus on one thing and attack that one thing, you will be successful at anything you do in life and be able to manifest anything you want in your life. When that comes to attaining or retaining a new feeling state, or visual or affirming, or just capturing that feeling of scripting or anything you want to use, if you have that developed attention, then you're able to find that feeling state, stay focused on that feeling state, and retain that and impress the subconscious mind with that feeling state so much easier. And you won't even have to do it very long. This could be something very quickly once you retain that type of power with your attention. So it's just like what he says right here. For you steady the attention and increase its power by confining it. You increase your power by confining it and stilling your attention on one thing. The desire which realizes itself is always a desire upon which attention is exclusively concentrated. For an idea is endowed with power only in proportion to the degree of attention that is fixed on it. Concentrated observation is the attentive attitude directed from some specific end. Okay, so the attentive attitude involves selection. For when you pay attention, it signifies that you have decided to focus your attention on one object or state rather than another. So he's talking about whether it's an object or a state of being, like your concept of self. Once you determine how you would feel were you already the person that you wanted, and you have the ability to focus by doing this exercise, which I'm about to get into, you will be able to retain that feeling state with such force, with such power, that you will impress the subconscious mind sometimes instantly just by bringing that picture up in your mind or affirming it just a couple times. Having that attention, that forceful attention where you can actually absorb yourself into that feeling state and actually get instant contact with the subconscious mind. Okay, so therefore, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until that feeling fills the mind and crowds out all other ideas out of consciousness. That's what he's getting to here with your attention. Once you develop that attention, you will be able to crowd out all the other ideas in your mind. Even if it's only for 10 or 20 seconds you do this, you will have such an ability of the power of mind to have so much power with your mental abilities. You can crowd everything out and get rid of all the weeds in your mind and just create an idea of a feeling of the person that you want to be or the thing that you want in that feeling state, and instantly impress that into the subconscious mind and get it. This is is what this does with enough practice, guys. The great secret of success is to focus the attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. See, then he gets into the feeling here. That's what we're getting at. So once you develop this ability with your mind to clear all other ideas, all the other ideas that are crowding your mind, all these other things in your life that are going on, you're able to, at will, get rid of all these weeds that are in your mind and then focus on that feeling state, even for just a few seconds. Or if you're creating things throughout your day, as you're moving throughout your day, you're like, okay, I want this to happen. I want this person to call me. I want this deal to go through. I don't want this deal to go through. So you can go through these feeling states throughout the day and do it for 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. And then boom, this is done. This is done. This is done. This is done. And as you go, you build that momentum of your faculties and belief systems as well. And you start doing this and developing that mind. But you have to start with the foundation, which is this exercise I'm getting into. All right. So all progress depends upon an increase of attention. The ideas which impel you to action are those which dominate the consciousness, those which possess the attention. The idea which excludes all others from the field of attention discharges in action. All right, so the one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press towards the mark. This is what Philippians was talking about here in chapter 3, verse 13 and 14. The one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press towards the mark. So clearing the mind, focusing on one thing, developing that muscle of the mind. Don't be an unstable mind, and actually develop your attention and to be a successful person and be able to manifest and create anything you want to come into your life. It all develops from this. This is Neville Goddard's interpretation of this Bible phrase. This means this one thing you do, forgetting those things which are behind, you can press towards the mark of filling your mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Basically, okay, yeah. To the unenlightened man, this will seem to be all fantasy. Yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view nor accept the world as it is, as was stated heretofore or before. If you can imagine what you please, and if the forms of your thoughts are as vivid as the forms of nature, you are, by virtue of the power of your imagination, master of your fate. I don't even think this is actually really even required, that you have to do all this. He's saying you have to be able to create it to be as vivid as the forms of nature, but I don't believe you have to do that once you develop that muscle of the mind. I don't have to get it there. I can take an affirmation, or I can take a feeling state, or by scripting or using affirmations or visualizing, and create this feeling and then completely absorb myself in this feeling state just for a few seconds, or even 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds at a time, and get something to happen. Like it's almost instant. Like, even if it's an hour from now or 2 hours from now or something I want tomorrow, I've developed that ability to concentrate my mind to be able to make these things happen in my world, which is really fantastic. And this is what this is going to get you. Once you start doing this, this is what's going to happen in your life. Okay, so your imagination is you yourself, and the world as your imagination sees it is the real world. So basically, you in your world right now, your 3D world, that is not you. The person that you see when you look in the mirror, that is not you. The person that is the real you is the person that you see in your imagination when you visualize. When you're in imagination, that's the real you. The real you is psychological, internal. You on the outside in your 3D world, this is not real. This is not the real world. The real world is within you. That's what's projected out and what is creating the world, because the world outside does not exist without the imagination. The imagination and your assumptions and your concept of self out picturing itself is what is creating the world in which you live right now. It's all being projected from outside of you. Your 3D world doesn't have any existence without you, without somebody projecting its observations and assumptions onto it. That's how it's created. So everything is within. The real you is in your imagination. Okay, so when you set out to master the movements of attention, which must be done if you would successfully alter the course of observed events, it is then you realize how little control you exercise over your imagination, how much it is dominated by sensory impressions and by a drifting of the tides of idle moods. This is actually something I ran into when I first did this exercise. I really was having issues, and I was pretty frustrated with it because I'm trying to do this exercise and my mind just keeps going everywhere. I mean, it's just like what he says right here, drifting on the tides of idle moods, impressions, sensory impressions, and things like that. And that's why my life wasn't the way that I wanted it to be, because I really didn't have any control. And when I went back into, when I was doing this exercise, I realized that I couldn't do it. And then I'm starting to realize that I don't even have control of my life. I'm not even a real person. If I can't go back throughout the day and remember these things, then I wasn't even present in that moment. So what was controlling me? It wasn't me, because if you can't remember something happening to you like the day before, then you weren't present in that moment. That means that you were being controlled by something outside of you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the exercise. To aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. All right, so here's the exercise. Night after night, just before you drift off to sleep, strive to hold your attention on the activities of the day in reverse order. Focus your attention on the last thing you did, that is getting into bed, and then move it backward in time over the events until you reach the first event of the day, which was getting out of bed. All right, so before you go to sleep at night, take like 5 or 10 minutes and then hold your attention and start with the first thing. So like, for example, if the very last thing you did before you went into bed was brush your teeth, you go to that scene, you go to the beginning of it. What'd you do? You grabbed your toothbrush, you turned on the sink, and then you put some toothpaste on your toothbrush and you're going through it. How did you brush your teeth? Were you looking in the mirror? Would you wash your face? What did you do? Then come to the end of that and then go to the scene before that. Say then you were in the shower before that. So then you go through that scene of what you were doing actually in the shower. Then you play that scene all the way to the beginning where you were about to brush your teeth. Then you go to the scene before that, like say it was eating dinner. Then you want to remember things like, who did you eat with? What did you eat? And what was about the placement of the food on your plate, the silverware, what were you drinking? What conversations did you have during the meal that you had? Then you go through the next event before that, then the next, and then the next. And then you want to go all the way back to when you first woke up in the morning. Yeah, I remember when I first did this exercise, I had so much trouble doing it that it kind of frustrated me, because I'm like, wow, I can't even remember the things that I did like today. If I can't remember those things, and I really started thinking about, if I can't remember like the conversations that I had during dinner, or the gym, who I spoke with, what machines, and go really back in detail with these things, then I really wasn't present in the moment. I wasn't in control of myself. And what this also does, once you continue to do this, see, I started, once I got frustrated with it, I was like, I'm going to conquer this. And I did. I kept doing it. But what this will do for you is actually, it'll make you more present moment, or presently aware in the moment the following day. So the next day when I woke up, I'm like, wow, I couldn't do that. So all day long, I'm very careful about everything I'm doing, because I got to remember this. I got to remember this when I go to sleep tonight. So I'm very presently aware in the moment. And this is like developing a faculty in my mind. I'm seeing life much richer. I'm seeing everything, and my mind is developing. I'm creating more things. I'm seeing things that are like unfolding right in front of my eyes by my actions and reactions to life. And it was completely like changing me from the inside out, just by this new present moment awareness of being conscious of every step I'm taking, everything I'm doing. It puts you in that moment, slows time down, and you're able to see everything. You're able to notice everything. You're able to fix your life. This exercise absolutely changed my life, and it started the very next day. So this is an exercise that has developed me in order to be successful at anything that I do. And everyone watching this has the same capabilities once you develop that present moment awareness and start doing this. Even if you only want to do this for one night, just try it and see where your mind is, and see if you're able to do this. And if not, continue. And within a week or 2 weeks, you will have drastic changes in your life completely, just by your different present moment awareness of discovering who you truly are, and your ability to manifest and create things into your life will drastically change. You will 10x your life within a short amount of time doing this. Your ability to be able to visualize, to be able to affirm, to be able to script, to be able to capture a feeling state will 10x, 20x from this exercise here, guys. All right, so Neville Goddard says here, he does point this out. This is no easy exercise, but just as specific exercises in the gym help in developing specific muscles, so will this. This is just like going to the gym and working out your mind. This is the equivalent to exercising your mind, like going to the gym for your mind to develop yourself, to be able to manifest and create things into your world. And your ability to retain a feeling state, to create a feeling state, then be present in that moment and capture that feeling state and impress it into the subconscious mind. That's the trick here. That is what we are developing, okay? So your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of yourself successfully, and thereby change your future. Imagination is able to do anything, but only according to the internal direction of your attention. If you persist, this is where Neville Goddard talks about this exercise. If you persist night after night, sooner or later, you will awaken in yourself a center of power and become conscious of your greater self, the real you. Attention is developed by repeated exercises or habit. Through habit, an action becomes easier, and so in course of time gives rise to a facility or faculty, which can then be put to higher uses. When you attain control of the eternal direction of your attention, you will no longer stand in shallow water, but will launch out into the deep of life. You will walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled as on a foundation more solid than earth. So basically what this is going to do, this exercise is going to develop your level of the direction of your attention. Your direction of attention is paramount to retaining a feeling state. The direction of your attention, because if you're trying to gather a feeling state, you're scripting, you're affirming, or you're visualizing, you have to have direction of your attention. Because if you're holding the feeling state and it drifts to this, oh, I got to do this tomorrow, or this person said this to me, and all of a sudden your mind drifted away, you don't have the proper direction of your attention. You need to direct it to that feeling state, hold that feeling state while it's impressed into the subconscious mind. And this can be very powerful if you have a very powerful level of awareness. You can do this in 20 seconds. If you can hold that feeling state in that present moment awareness about somebody calling you or getting this much money or doing this, changing this, it won't take much time, but it's developed from your attention and present moment awareness while sustaining that feeling state. All right, guys, I love you guys very much, and I will see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to give me one thing you guys are grateful for. Don't forget about that. Give me one thing you guys are grateful for or anything you want me to clarify, and I will do that. I will see you guys in the next video. Love you.